Good afternoon, traders. Welcome to this week's market wrap-up, and we want to start with the US dollar. So last night we finally saw something we've been waiting for a while, and that was a break of this support areas at that 105.60 area. You can go up to 105.66, but 105.60 was the main level I was watching. There's a lot of demand there, and we saw on Thursday, after the Fed Chair Powell's comments, a pretty strong reversal in the US dollar. We saw risk markets jump up, and that message was that rate rises could start to the rate rise could start to decrease in size, and that was something that risk traders really wanted to hear. And obviously we saw some very strong moves after that, after those messages, and we can just see that move here on the Dow, which the US 30 is on the chart at the moment, so that 2% higher, a bit over 2% higher move. And we saw a lot of strong moves on risk currencies, and we'll get onto some of the individual currencies in a moment, but we can see those moves this week after those comments, and it really followed through yesterday, and that's what we're really waiting for. Yesterday was an interesting night in terms of risk markets because we did see the dollar break through that level. Gold had a fantastic session, but we didn't really see the follow through we'd hoped to see on stock indexes. So we saw the Dow actually close lower, and we saw it pull back by 194 points. We saw the S&P drop 3.54 points, but the Nasdaq gained 14.45 points. So we thought we'd see a little bit more follow through on stocks. We thought maybe that was a very nice key signal that was telling us that the market was ready to move higher. It got some nice drive, a nice message, and we might have seen a little bit more buy momentum follow through after that session on New York time Wednesday, Thursday morning here in Australia, but it didn't eventuate. So we'll have to see what happens next. I think maybe the jobs data could be something traders are looking out to late tonight, early tomorrow morning, Saturday morning Australian Eastern Daylight Time. So that's the non-farm payrolls and average earnings and US unemployment. So the Canadian unemployment data is also being released, if memory serves me right. I'll just double check that. And yes, yep, that is the case. So I think that maybe that will be a bit of a catalyst because we did see the ADP employment figure come in lower than expected. So the non-farm payrolls we'll get to in a moment. So we're just going to touch on a few markets, how we've seen them this week. So we've gone over the US 30. Now the DAX, for instance, it made a bright start. It did break above that resistance level here, but then it did fall away. It saw a late recovery, but today so far it's gapped lower, and it's sort of just holding around that 14,443 area. So we do see plenty of support down for the DAX at 14,354, and the Dow, we've touched on this before, but the Dow's looking the best out of the three. We want to just touch on the Nasdaq and the S&P. So the Nasdaq, after that single day, shot up. It is treading water at the moment, like the Dow. We did see a break of this price high on the 15th to the 11th, but unlike the Dow and some of the other European indexes, we haven't really seen a move back up to that, high we saw back in August. And if we just take a look at US 30 again, we can see that it was broken this week, which it was a pretty positive sign that day. That's why we were thinking maybe there'd be a bit more follow through, but we will wait and see what happens after the NFP tonight. And if that does come out in favor of the risk markets, will we see a new leg push higher and really stamp some authority on that move earlier in the week, saying that we have a new continuation after that breakout. So if we do see further buying, obviously we'll be looking up to 30 sorry about that. We'll be looking up to 35,300 as the next key resistance area, and we'll need to see a bit of buy momentum to really get going before we start really thinking if that's going to be a possibility. So we'll see what happens tonight and into next week if we do see buyers really come back into the market. Now, some of the European indexes have continue to perform really nicely. They continue to outperformed the DAX, for instance. So the France 40, for instance, traded up to that 68 area. It got very close, above 68. It got very close to that previous high, which was set back in March. So that market continues to trend very nicely, and like with the other indexes we've just been discussing, we want to see if we can see a bit more push higher. Now I won't spend a heap of time on indexes. We've got a couple of markets to cover, but we will just quickly touch on the Hong Kong 50. I don't know if many people do trade it, but I have been watching it this year. It's been a very interesting market. We had that massive decline. We all know with what happened in Hong Kong with the change in policy between the Chinese government. There's a lot of money and jobs leaving Hong Kong. There was some really crazy incentives put up by the government in the territory to try and attract people back. And we did see a break of that previous high, which was set this month, and a nice move up. And we had that nice higher low. So this market does continue to look good. We've also got a break of this downtrend we've seen, for most of 2022. So quite a lot of fireworks on the Hong Kong 50. It's been quite enjoyable to watch at the moment. So we will go back to some of the risk markets now. We did have comments from the Reserve Bank of Australia. The Governor Lowe said that interest rates may have been overdone. Now a lot of mortgage holders are starting to question really why interest rates went up that much. There was a fair bit of financial pain was put on quite a few Australians with how quickly rates went up. Now they're hearing that this is after comments were made that rates wouldn't be touched, till 23, and we, definitely saw some pretty heavy rate rises. So there has been a bit of there has been some tremblings in the Australian population and with the media towards the RBA about why they did actually, well, not break a promise, but why they came out so quickly with those rate rises after making some pretty solid statements that they weren't going to put them up. Now, the Aussie dollar has been, continuing to just track the USD, and we are seeing a nice breakout above resistance. Now, the euros had a really solid week so far this week as well, and we've seen that, those 2-day rallies following the decline of the US dollar. We've seen breaks of those resistance points here. We are seeing further buying today, and we'll be looking to see if markets do continue higher, what happens up at 1.0584, and if resistance comes back in at that level. The pound, it really does seem a long time ago that we had that flash crash. I mean, we're back up testing levels that were not seen since back in August. We all remember that amazing crash down, but yeah, the market sure has recovered from that and continues to push higher. And we have seen a high above those August highs. And again, it looks like with the euro and the Aussie, it sort of has made its way up a bit. We may see another pulse higher if the NFP does support risk markets and does factor to more USD selling. But again, one of the key areas was around the break of that high to try and look to get into that. We'll need to see another pullback with a higher low and then a new confirmation to say that this trend is going to continue. Now we want to just have a look at gold. Now gold has really performed well this week. As you can see on the prices here, it's still around the $1,800 point. I spent a couple of weeks talking about this area here. We had that beautiful run up that had that retracement, then we had that higher low. It really did stall a bit. It looked a little bit of a worry. I was hoping to see this trend continue. We did see that. We saw that nice break above this consolidation here. And then we saw another beautiful follow-up session yesterday that went back above 1800. So we are sitting around that resistance point that was set back in August. A lot of markets found that those highs back in August. So we want to see now if buyers can take that next step. And as mentioned before, if the non-farm payrolls does support risk markets and put the dollar down again, we'll be looking for gold to potentially break that August high and be trading above that 1807. But we will need some more momentum to really feed further buying. After that, the next real resistance levels we can see possibly 1838 and then back up to 1857. There's plenty of supply up there. We've seen a few rallies stop there, and that was in the middle of that decline that we that saw a strong leg after. And then we had the recovery and the new lows put in for 2022. So that would probably be, if we did get a move back up to those areas, that that 1838 all the way up to really around that 1865, there could be a fair bit of supply up there. So, but that's a long way away now, and we'll have to see if the market can get back up there first. Oil, so we want to just make traders aware that Russian oil sanctions are coming online soon. We have also heard of ideas to try and really create a bit of a base price for oil out of OPEC. Now we have seen some nice moves in oil. Oil is one of my favorite markets to trade, just due to the how much it can move in a single day. It can give you a bit of room, but you have to be careful. If you get on the wrong side of it and you are running a wide stop, it can punish you pretty severely if you do get it wrong. So we are watching oil at the moment. We had that nice move up yesterday that was faded up to 83.72. Right now we're sitting back at this resistance area at 81.76. We'd want to see buyers break that move again. They have broken this fast trend here. If we do see a pullback, we'll be looking for higher lows, and we will continue to look at this move here as an up leg, but we would like to see this resistance broken. If we do see a decline and we see a new higher low, we want to see a move back and break that resistance pretty quickly, and then break above that higher that was set this week as well on a rather quickish turnaround. So we'll continue to look for new moves up or a new higher low, just to signal that this leg is going to continue to run. Now also we'll just go over to cryptos. So look, cryptos continue, look, they're trying, but under the circumstances of what we've seen happening in the market recently, obviously it's hard for buyers to really develop that strong momentum we have seen in times gone past. So we have seen a new higher low. We're just looking at Bitcoin now. So we had a move up, we had a move down, we have a higher low, and we have a new move higher which broke resistance. So these are good signs, but we are still really in an area that's barely even near 50% of that decline after the FTX. So we do remember this trend here looked quite nice. Unfortunately, FTX hit the market and we saw that plunge, and we really would like to see the market get back, close above at least a 50% point of that decline to really start to say that some buyers are back in control, and there's a lot less selling on, there's a lot more demand. And this is across a lot of the coins at the moment. So we'll just have a look at Ethereum quickly here. So the same story, high, low, push up, break it for that short-term resistance. There is more resistance up here at 13.19. So we'll just look to continue to see if buyers can continue to get some sort of drive going. Now, BNB had a fantastic week last week. I think we mentioned it, but it's failed to really find some of that drive again this week. We have seen that that there was a sharp decline. We had another push lower, made a lower low, but it still looks pretty good in this move here. So we still see it as a new up leg. We just want to see if a higher low can confirm, if we have some more buying, and then a new push higher, and then a break of this area at 314 to really up to 317. That would be a really strong positive sign that this is starting to turn into a short-term trend, or and then to a medium-term trend. I won't touch on too many other coins. The story is not exactly the same, but it's quite similar. So we will touch on Doge. Doge has some pretty crazy movements. We can see that previous week's rally and decline, and we've had that flat, sort of, it's nearly a double bottom, and we've had that nice move up. So again, same story, we're looking for higher lows to confirm with a new push up to break the previous high, just to confirm that that is now turning into a rally. Now tonight I'll try to wrap this up a little bit early today. So tonight, as we just mentioned earlier, we have Canadian and US employment to come. I think the indices are looking at this with a bit of interest. What is being forecast at the moment is average earnings to come in at 0.3%, so slightly lower than the last 0.4%. Non-farm employment change to come in with 200k, and that's lower than the last 261k, and unemployment rate to come in steady at 3.7%. Now on the Canadian side, they're looking for unemployment to increase slightly to 5.3%, and employment change to come in at 10.5k, so that's a lot lower than the 108.3k we saw in the last data. So we will just have a quick look at the dollar CAD. This can be quite a fun pair to trade when Canadian and US employment data is coming at the same time. And at the moment, what we're seeing here is that decline that we saw earlier with the USD. We've seen there is resistance really up at that 35.82 area. There's short-term support down at 34.05. We have a small trend running here, but we do have a bit of a break of this uptick here. So any move down below this level could set up a new decline, fast decline down. But if we do see this area continue to hold and another push up, we will possibly see supply, start to come back in at 35.77. So that's it for this week. Like we say every video, if you want to keep up to date with what we release, please subscribe, and we have some fantastic guest analysts coming through each week. We do mix them up, so there's a lot of variety with what is being presented and put out there, and I'm sure you're going to get something out of that. So thank you again for your time. We wish you a fantastic weekend, and thankfully in Australia it's starting to warm up, so we're very happy about that in the moment. And we hope that if you are trading the non-farm payrolls tonight, please manage your risk, and we wish you the best for your positions for them to come. And yeah, until next week, again, have a great weekend. Thanks very much for watching, and bye for now.